Now on to tonight's speaker. Joseph Raymond of Joseph Raymond Fine Arts is an active member in the arts community here in Texarkana. You may have seen him painting live in the downtown live events, installing a mural downtown, or even installing some work in your own home. In addition to being a successful contemporary artist, Joseph runs his own gallery and curates work at Joseph Raymond Fine Arts. Joseph has also exhibited nationally in Little Rock, Dallas, New York, recently in the Red Dot Miami Art Fair in Miami. He was even recently named Alt Magazine's Best Artist of 2022. Exactly. We're so thankful and thrilled to have Joseph kick off our speaker series. So without further ado, help me welcome Joseph Raymond.
Good evening, everyone. How you guys doing? Good. I'm excited. We have a problem tonight because we're about to talk about something I love, like majorly. Alan, we could be here for hours. Kim, you guys notice. I love and I'm very passionate about what I'm going to speak about tonight. So this is going to be so fun. So look at your watches and someone just go when we're done, okay? This is supposed to be about 30 minutes. And anyways, I'm excited to be here in this beautiful building and in this beautiful place. I'm really excited to be in Texarkana, a native from San Diego originally. And when I first moved here, it was culture shock, but I have grown to love Texarkana, and I traveled all these other places, and I'm like, okay, just get me home. I'm just glad I would be back in my little hometown now. I love this place. It's pretty amazing, just starting off, how much culture there is. A lot of people say, there isn't. There really actually is, especially for the size. There's some great artists. I go to other places. I did it, is this going to Little Rock? I did something in Little Rock and I was surprised. I was like, the Texarkana artists are better than this. So anyways, I'm glad to be in Texarkana. Also want to say thank you to Jennifer and Chris and Emily and whoever else put this on. Really excited about this. Of course, can't wait to hear from Chris, Thomas, my friend, and several others that are speaking coming up. I'm going to be very honest and shoot from the hip and be very real with you all. How many of you are artists that sell your work? Raise your hand. Okay, so we have a good percentage. I was thinking, I bet there's hardly any artists are going to be here, and so my subject is supposed to be marketing art. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And if you don't love what you do, you really shouldn't be doing it, because I think artists have the best life in the world. We get to live off. This is a dream. I mean, I support my wife and 2 children by painting. Literally, it's so fun. And at some point, it's pretty funny because you just get to express yourself. And I finished this yesterday, and this is selling for a ton of money. Like it's sold already for a client, and it's amazing that I get to do this and have fun. And it's really a dream. It really is.
You sold this?
This is sold already.
Okay.
Yes. This is for somebody. This is commissioned for somebody. They seen it in my gallery. It was smaller, and they wanted something much larger. Anyway, yes, we were unrolling it, and Chris said, "I got some paint on my." So it's dry, I think, but don't touch it. So this literally is going to be tacked. It's in a huge cabin, type of rustic type of house. It's literally going to be tacked, boom, boom. I'm going to burn the edges and call it good. Now, would that work in New York City? No. Would it work in Miami? No. Would it work? It works because art is, if you love it, then go for it. And so my friend Mike Elsis I'm about to start to carry his work. He's from Dayton, and he does stuff all over, huge metal art. And he says a third of people, I don't know if this is true or not, a third of people buy art because they like the artists. By the way, artists should be likable, I think. The more likable you are, I'm so bad with names. Darlene, I was about to say Darlene, she's going to go far because she's so likable. You just gotta like her. I mean, no, Rich, I don't know about Richard. He's still struggling, but no, I'm kidding. But if you're likable, I think you, as an artist, you really should relate to people. That's with anything. It's all about people. Art is about relationships, and I guess this is good to go across the board. Kim, it's all about relationships. I mean, banking, it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to do well if you can understand your people that are wanting to buy your work and treat everyone with respect and dignity. A third of the people buy the art because they like the artist. A third of people buy because they just like the art, period. And the art stands by itself. And then he said a third, I doubt it's a third, but some people just go for the investment. And most of us are not there. Although, if you bought my work 5 years ago, there's quite a bit of equity in it. And anyone that's successful, you should shoot for that. I just want to talk just a little bit about my personal art journey. How many have not heard where I come from or don't know my story? How many do know my story? Raise your hand. Okay, so I'm not being too redundant. So, I started off, I feel like everything leads, it just leads to bigger and better. If you have a dream, let me just tell you, if you have a dream, go for it. My goal this year, by the way, is to sell one piece for over $40,000. That's a little bold, but it happened last year. I hit my goal, and so why not? If you're going to fail big. This is just life. If you're going to shoot for something, why shoot small? Why? You know, and this is just life. You limit your own self. I've heard over and over and over again, and Texarkana doesn't, I've heard negative. When I first moved here 15 years ago from a large town, San Diego, I'm going to be honest with you. Okay, so we're honest tonight. Can we just act like we're just sitting at a coffee table and just be real? The second art show I went to, it was, I have to be careful. It was awesome work. But I was so disappointed because I was just getting into the art world. And they were so excited. They were very excited because they just sold it. It was a beautiful work. But they were so excited because they just sold their first piece and it was $80-something. And I was like, I would be depressed if I had this whole show and $80 sold. But that's how it works sometimes. But I thought, if I ever do something, I'm going to try to go big. And this is before I ever... And so my suggestion, I'm not saying you have to have big art, but I think you need big goals. I think you need to surround yourself with people that think big. And if, I feel like it was kind of a little bit depressing to me. And I'm like, why do we need to be so small? And I've seen through the last 15 years or so, and I will tell you, Picasso has helped a lot. And I want to thank A&M and all, the Women for the Arts and all they do. Not A&M, I'm sorry. Women for the Arts. And they helped a lot to make art accessible and marketable, I would say. And, things would go for $5,000. Granted, it was for charity, but still, it was like, wow, this is exciting. And, but I think if you're going to do something, do it big. If you're going to sell pottery, be amazing. Be your absolute best. And whatever your dream is, don't let anyone hold you back. It's amazing that the people in Dallas, we don't, but the people in Dallas talk about how much money there is in Texarkana. Promise, I'm not lying. People like Little Rock were like, oh yeah, my good. I'm telling you, we are the ones that think small. So think big. I'm telling you, it's amazing. There is a great need for art. Jeannie Harrell is always saying, Joseph, you're going to get out this one. Jeannie, I'm telling you, in 20 years, people are constantly needing more art. There's constantly, Texarkana needs so much art, and they need my art. Hello, They need what you have. Chris, you should think, and she's amazing, by the way. If you don't know Chris Thomas, if you don't have some of her pottery, let me just put a plug. You need it. You just need it. But you should feel, you should have the attitude like everybody needs your work. Why not? I think you need to be positive. So your attitude affects how you act and how you react. You know why? Because as artists and just in life, you're going to deal with a lot of negativity. You're going to have people come up, and if you don't know how to deal with rejection, you're like, how is this selling? This is a big part of selling your art. If you don't know how to deal with rejection and people saying, are you kidding me? You want? By the way, these aren't finished. I worked on these yesterday. They're not even signed and finished. But I just need something colorful back here. But when I moved to Texarkana, this size, I remember it would sell for about $500. Well, just being honest, I sell this size for $4,500 a lot. And this pair will be probably about $9,000. Why? Because you start out small, but you need to put value. There needs to be value in, and if you think Chris, I'm so sorry, I'm going to use you a ton. So if you think your little cup, that little cup, I don't know, maybe it's like $2.50, $2 maybe, I don't know, $5 maybe, you'll get $5. If you have the nerve to say, this is handcrafted, I took time with this, I'm serious about this, and why not say, these are going $35. You know what? If you believe you can sell it, then you know what you're going to do. You're going to sell it for $35. And I bought her stuff. You limit yourself. We limit ourselves. Darlene, you're amazing. Yes, get better at what you do. Yes, don't ever stop. But I think a lot of marketing really is in your mind. It shocked me not long ago. I was doing a commission for some people, and do I have to stay in mic? No. Okay, so I was doing a commission for some people, and it's really great. I love those clients that don't ask what the price is going to be. Yeah, I just see this size and whatever. And you don't get that very often, but you do sometimes, and it's wonderful. And the guys on the phone said, yeah, how much is that? And I'm thinking, what should I've got a price, but I'm scared to ask it. And I'm like, do it. And then I think of my why. Why are you doing this? Well, I've got kids to feed. I've got grandkids. I've got stuff to do. And so I used to feel so bad about, it's like asking for a raise, kid. I mean, you're worth it. Just ask him. Go in money, ask for a raise. No, I'm kidding. But if you're worth it, you're just, I'm not saying being crazy. And I think, by the way, pricing is a big thing. Get a grip on your pricing. There needs to be a price structure. I think for art, square inch is the best, but I struggled for 5 years figuring out pricing, but get pricing and then charge per square inch. I think, or whatever works for you, that's the best for me. A lot of people do other ways, but that's, to me, the most successful artists usually are going to price per size, it's just kind of logical, and it helps people to feel like it's fair. But I'm going back to my story. So I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to do it because I had a goal. I'm going to sell a piece for this, and I was scared because is it, you've got all these things. I don't know if it's worth it. I don't know if this. And he said, how much should I have? I said, well, why would you get off the phone? He said, so he's writing the check, and I tell him, I'm like, do I just go for the gusto and go for my dreams and be embarrassed for about 2 minutes? What if? He's like, that's crazy. Are you kidding me? And he starts cussing and saying, no, I ain't paying that for that. Or what if? It's like, yeah, let's do this. And so I told him, he said, yeah, just writes it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. But so it was worth it. And it was worth asking for that extra. It was worth it. Here's the thing. If you fail, big deal. You have to fail. My first show, let me tell a little about my story. So I was I was working as a decorative painter, specialty painter, and I had no problem. I was working as a decorative painter and for a doctor's office, or doctor's home, and she said, you know, instead of doing that, just why don't you do it on canvas instead of on a wall? I was like, no, that's not what we do. Because, you know, I was in my little box, that's not what we do. So why not? I don't really know. Yeah, instead of doing that sample on a wall or that finish, why don't you? And I said, yeah, okay, well, what will you pay me? She said, I don't know. She said, I don't like a piece above, I'm ready to change a piece above my mantle. And I said, well, what do you think? She said, well, maybe $1,200. So that's a lot of money for your first. I was like, I don't even know if I can do this. But I tried it and we did it. So step out and quit being so scared. Seriously, quit being scared. Go for it. What's the worst that's going to happen? What's the worst that's going to happen? I mean, really, you can always negotiate. So I'm like, okay. And from there, it just went on and on and on. And so I'm like, you know what? About a year later, I'm going to have an art show and see if this works. But if I have an art show, I'm going to try to go big. So I spent all this time, built all these canvases, spent all this money. My wife was like, Joseph, you have lost it. Oh my Lord, we cannot afford to be doing, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm telling you, it's going to work. I know it's going to work. By the way, everyone's not going to believe in your dreams. Even your loved ones sometimes may think you're a little crazy. Well, be crazy. It's good. Go for it. And so I have this show, some of you probably remember, I think it was 2014, at Silver Moon on Broad, and I worked hard, and Carrie White helped, and different people, friends of mine helped, and I thought it looked fabulous, but I spent tons of money, because I had to build everything, I didn't have anything, you know, so I went for it, and had a great time, and a great night, and nothing sold. And I was depressed, I was like, this is horrible. Oh my God. But weeks later, it started selling. Here's the thing, you have to get enough eyes on your piece before, it's just a law of numbers. Well, some of you, how many of you love this? How many of you are like, I would never have that in my house, be honest. Jeannie, you would never have, never. Alan's like, see, that's just the way it is. So some of you guys would never.
I had that once.
This is brand new, so nice they couldn't be that case. But anyways, so everybody, you have to get enough people. I was just in the mode to do this, and so I just worked on these yesterday. But they're not even finished. But this is not going to sell to everybody. Honestly, I'll probably end up shipping that to somewhere like Florida or Seattle or something like that. Usually bright colors. They may work here, but a lot of times they don't. And so, do I care that you don't like it? No. I really don't. I seriously don't care. Because there's something you like. So, this piece, that's a whole different client than this piece. And the one out front is a whole different. And so, you just have to know, I think, for years I felt bad, Chris, because I felt like, you know, an artist has to have one type of work, and it's all across the board, and everything's the same. But you wonderful people at Texarkana have let me know that I can enjoy painting every style that I like, because there's something for everyone. And I think, and clients of mine that buy 10 and 15, I would call them collectors, they like that there's a variety. Because Jennifer, you may be like, that's the worst thing I've ever seen, but I love that piece out front with the blue and the white, and you know what I'm saying? So everything's different, and everyone's different. And then, you know, some well-meaning person will come up to you and say, Joseph, you really got to quit this because, don't listen to him. Don't. Do what you know is best, because you know what's best for you. And if you love it, and if you're passionate about it, then it'll sell at the right time, to the right person, and to the right people. So don't stop dreaming, don't stop evolving. I always feel like you should teach yourself. You can go to classes, keep learning, constantly seek to be better. Just constantly seek to make your craft better and be in competition with yourself. I'm not in competition with Darlene. She's amazing in her own way. And I don't think any artist, me and Richard, we've got our own thing going. But if you're trying to be somebody else and mimic someone else's art, it's not going to work. It's like me, I've done 3 commissions in the last, 10 years or whatever. And when I'm trying to do something, someone asks, hey, would you paint my dog? Yeah, sure. Sometimes you do stuff, you go, it's going to pay bills. But when I'm trying to paint your dog, no, Tyler Arnold needs to paint your dog. Seriously, because I hate it, and I'm not enjoying it, and it's just going to be a struggle. I've got one piece in my studio. It's been there for like a year, because I don't want to do it for this guy. I should have never said yes. I really shouldn't have. So now I'm learning, do what you love. Yes, I'll paint your dog if you'll let it be funky and drips and messy and loose and free and me, right? So as far as commissions, I would say do what you want to do. But as far as me, I think commissions are wonderful because it's a great way. Probably 40% of my work at least I sell as commissions. But be true to yourself. Be true to yourself. If you're an artist, be true to yourself and what you love. Have different price points. So I'm continually every year going higher, and then I have these little birds that I'm like, okay, when am I going to quit doing birds? And I sell out of them, and then sometimes, oh, you don't have any birds? And so I won't buy. But these birds I've sold tons of these little birds. Just because they're, how much are they? I think they're $85 now. They used to be $55, but they're $85, and they're affordable, and they're fun, and don't forget, you always have to hook people with small stuff. So, how many people, kids? It's funny. So, at our church, in the youth group, we go out somewhere, and these kids don't even drink coffee. They're like 10 years old, and they just want to go to Starbucks just to have a cup because they're like, I'm cool, that's just cool to have a Starbucks cup. So, you need to build a brand to where people want your stuff. You might want to ask another thing, your work does need to be marketable. So if it's really bad, you need at least one friend in your life that will tell you, okay, honestly, no one, if you can't sell beyond your family and friends, they don't count, by the way. They don't really count. Darlene, if it's just your mom and your sister, and they don't count. Is that mean? Chris, is that mean? You can't charge them. Oh, and don't do a bunch of free stuff. TRAHC, remember, close your ear, plug your ears. And you do have to give out. You do have to give. And you're going to have to work your tail off. You have to work very hard. Yes, I give to charity. Matter of fact, I'll be painting live March 4th at the Harvest. I just said yes, a Harvest regional, whatever. Yeah, wine and jazz. But I've started setting limits because it's not fair when other people are spending $4,500 for this. And hey, I got something. How much did you pay? Oh, I got $200. No. So I think you should set limits. And I'd rather just give you something than for something to. So what I do now at auctions is if I don't at least get half of that, then I'll take it. That's just fair, I think, because you ruin your brand. Your brand is huge. Your brand is huge. That's only canvas and paint. But I went to Miami, and I seen little works that went for $1 million. That's just paint and canvas. It's all about the perceived value cannot be overstated. The perceived value, because this is a Rembrandt, or this is this, or this is an original Picasso, or really, it's a big deal. If you don't protect your brand, If you just give stuff out all the time to everybody and everything, it's not good. It's really not. And at the same time, I think you should be giving to charities and nonprofits and all that. But just do it right. Okay? Does that make any sense? If you're an artist, you know what you sell? Somebody have a question. What do you sell? Yourself, kind of. You're selling emotions. What do I feel when I look at that piece? So this right here, it needs light on it. It doesn't look good. But anyways, I took that to a home, a smaller version, and I said, let me see if this works for you. I put it up, she's like, oh, and you could tell already on their face if it's going to work. This won't work in my house. But she was like, that's perfect. The colors, it matched the room, everything. I said, okay, well, let's. And so you're selling emotions and the feeling people get. Let's be honest, especially, by the way, COVID has helped the art world. Don't kid yourself. Art sales have went through the roof during COVID. Especially if you've got online sales. So people are buying art. Why? Because they want their atmospheres. I like that right outside. I like the calm because I've got enough of this. Okay. But there are people that want this. And so, because there's a different feeling. What is the feeling that people get? You're selling emotions. So if you don't have a backstory, you're missing out. How many of you know what a backstory is? What is a back? So you sell. Okay, so I was at one of my shows way back. I was selling it. It was a one-night thing at, I think, Karen White's, and a client of mine, they came by, and I had done an abstract piece. And I'm like, what do I name that? And my redneck friend, he's straight redneck. He doesn't know anything about art. He looks at this abstract. It's like silver, and it's just totally abstract, Jennifer. And he says, oh, well, I mean, that's that guy right there, to name it, Pops and I. I'm like, what? Pops? Well, Pops is like grandpa. I mean, like you painted the grandpa, on the, in the boat fishing with his grandson by the pier. And I'm like, what are you, dude? This is abstract art. What are you? But he's seen something, and I was like, okay, I see it now. So I'm like, I'm going to go out on a limb. That sounds a little like, hold on, but I'm going to do Pops and I. Who cares? Why not try it? It doesn't sound. So I go there to this show, and this lady comes through, and she says, look, Mike, I like those colors. It's really pretty. It's this doctor's wife. She's like, that's really, really pretty. I like that. What's the name of that? And I said, it's a little weird, but you want to know? And she said, yeah, it's Pops and I. And she starts crying. Like crying, like, oh my God, are you kidding me? And she wiped her face, and I'm like, what's wrong? She said, you're kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. And she starts crying. What happened? She said, you're never going to believe this. She grabs her husband and brings him over, and she says, honey, what's the name of it? And so I tell her, and tell her husband what the name of it. She said, my dad just passed away last week, and he loved to take all the grandkids fishing, and they all call him Pops. I have to have it. How much? She said, I don't care how much it is. She could care less what the price was. I have to have that piece. And then boom, you wrote the check. Her husband dared not say no. She said, I will get this. And so she wrote the check, and boom. Because of the backstory, the emotion, the sentiment, and the feeling of it. And it was beyond just the feeling, just the colors. Wow, she's seen something that was powerful. You know what I mean, because you have things in your, it might just be I went to someone's house, and it really didn't match, but she had a rolling pin, and I'm like, yeah, that doesn't really go with your style. She could care less. She said, that rolling pin was my grandfather's, and my grandmother's, and great-grandmother, and she told the story. So that was so valuable and so precious. So you need to make a story behind everything. Or you need to be able to tell a story behind everything. In this piece right here, I finished this in Miami. There was people everywhere, and this dot, I was at the red dot, and kind of that's what this dot. Thank you, Alan. So this is on raw canvas. It's not sold yet, but I've got somebody very interested. And this is Red Dot, loving those Miami vibes. There's writing all in here. And it's on raw canvas, and you should get excited about what you're talking about. I let a bunch of kids, if you look at this, I let a bunch of kids sign their name down here. It was so fun. I got pictures of all kinds of little kids, and their parents were like, oh, that's so sweet. Are you sure? No, don't touch that. I said, absolutely, touch it. And I had fun. And so let it be real. That's another thing, my gallery. I never went to galleries as a kid because I was raised poor, and you're not allowed to go because they're stuffy. Come to my gallery, bring your kids to my gallery. I mean, there's a few that just go. But I think art should be good. I think you should tell people about art. I think people that can't afford your art, I think people that, everybody's important. Everybody's important. And some people that, if you're trying to sell art, everybody's important because everybody knows somebody. And if you care about every single person and tell them and be passionate about your work, it always comes around. It always comes around. I am almost through, but I just want you to know that art marketing, like anything else, is really a matter of being passionate about what you do and giving to the world and being true to yourself. Some of the pieces, it doesn't resonate with everybody, but some of the pieces I love the best. I'm a man of faith. And some of my favorite pieces are the ones that are written in subtly, scriptures and songs and different things. There's a lot of writing in that. But real subtle, I think be true to you. So your work should reflect you, not me. And be true, because if you love it, if you're passionate about it, like it would be harder for me to sell your work than to sell mine. Because I love my work. I can sell your work if I love it, but I'm not good at making it. So I have to really truly love it. And I think whatever you do, be passionate about it, go for it. Let me see if there's anything I'm missing. Art makes a space. There's nothing like it. I really hate when people spend all kinds of money on the flooring. And you're like, oh, those are nice floors. These people spend tons of money on, they build a new house. And then they get Kirkland's art. Really? Seriously. And so that's my job, is to educate. That's what I've done at Texarkana. Are you kidding me? You've got this fancy home. You've got Hobby Lobby art. I mean, yeah, I mean, really, that just, so why would you, but people need to know, why would you spend $325, $350, whatever that is, for this, when you could just get something for $25? Because this is handcrafted. There's only one like it in the world. If I tried, I could never recreate this exactly. What is this? That is just something I was teaching myself. I took a piece of cotton paper and I wrinkled it and messed it all up, and I soaked it, and it fell apart, and then I started painting on it, and there's kind of a bird in there, and it's just kind of cool. I think it's cool. If you don't like it, then don't buy it. But it's really, really cool. It's cool. There's no one like it. But you should do something like that. Also, go out on a limb. This month I'm in, what is this? At home, Arkansas. So this is my work right here. With Debbie Davis. I just like her stuff. And I just called her and said, hey, I would love to bring some of my work and see if you're interested. She said, and so I do stuff that kind of fits her look. Interior designers are awesome. Because they don't buy one piece, they buy 5. And when you go somewhere, thank you, Karen White, you go, so Jeannie buys a piece for me. Okay, I want that little bit. Don't go to her house with one piece, go with 5. A lot of times, push your luck a little bit. A lot of times, you'll sell 3 instead of 1. When people are in the mood to buy, they just buy 1. A lot of times. Seriously, try it. I dare you. I dare you. Really, who buys one little saucer? Yeah, well, I just only want to spend $30. Well, it looks really good with this, the saucer, and the little plate or whatever. Just, and the teacup or whatever, and this kind of goes with it. Oh well, let's just spend $100 because it's going to look better. Why not? So Go big or go home. Go big or go home. Anyways, I appreciate you all the best. And buy the business cards are huge. Give them everywhere. Everywhere you go, you need to get business cards. Do better than I do online. I will suggest Instagram or Facebook, whatever. We're in that kind of world where, you know, I'm not going to say a lot about the details. More than anything, love what you do. Do it great. Dream big. And go for it. That's my suggestion to you. Thank you.
We'll just open it up for 15 minutes Q&A. Raise your hand if you have a question for Joseph. Get that going.
How'd you get to Miami? How'd you get into the show?
Okay.
You got it 7.
Yes. I've got 5 this year.
So tell people how you get it.
It's all different. So connections, let's see. Went to a show in Dallas, the Other Art Fair, which is put on by Saatchi. And sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, but they've always been good. Sometimes you break even, you know, with all the expenses. I went on a limb and tried something in Dallas 2 years ago, and sometimes when you're at a show, you need to realize that emails are important and giving out cards is important, and you don't know who you'll also meet. So meeting the right connection sometimes is better than anything. So meeting the right designer and meeting the right person a lot of times is better than even making a sale in the long run.
Are you buying a spot in that show?
Yes. So I met a lady in Dallas. She asked me to be part of her gallery. And so through that, they take care of all the hard stuff, which it's a pain, the shipping and the creating and all that. And so I'm doing up to 5 shows this year, New York City and other big, Santa Fe, whatever, through that gallery. It's not through my gallery, which I could. There is a group called the Redwood Art Group, and that's something you can do if you're interested. There's a lot of paths as artists. You may like some of those shows. I'm trying to figure out which ones I want to do. I know Santa Fe for sure. And some of my work I send there and ship there and it sells. Other, I'll actually go to the shows. And if you've never been to one, they're really amazing, especially to blow your mind with how great the work is. And it's just really interesting to be in a whole nother market, venue, whatever. So yes, it would be through the gallery, Art Gallery Pure in Plano. That's what I'm going through. Yes. Galleries are good. Galleries are good and bad. It just depends, you know. You give them, typically you give them 50% of what you sell. That's kind of standard. I'm assuming you guys pretty much know that. But I always think no one's going to do better for you than you. Except for stuff like that, you've got great connections. Why I'm doing that is to get connections.
Will they price your stuff themselves, or do you price it?
In my case, I price it, and we would talk to the gallerist on the pricing. A lot of times they will raise the prices for those shows, depending. Like New York City, they raise the price because you have to be in a certain range. I mean, it's a joke if you're not high enough. You know, but you have to be in a sweet spot a lot of times. So it depends on the market, it depends on, if you're doing the Hamptons, I'm sure it'd be a lot higher. It just depends, you know, I'm not sure about Santa Fe, but getting in connection with the people that can help you is good. Exposure, you do need exposure. Get your stuff out, however you get it out. You know, have your own art show. Seriously. Do your own thing. The biggest art show I've ever had, as far as making money, is not New York City and all the big. No, the biggest was in Texarkana at a house, by far. Get a house that's fine, and just think out of the box. A fine home, and ask if you can have all the charcuterie and all the food and all that stuff and the drinks, and invite the right people, and chill out, sit back, and let them look at art. And that's when you get the real buyers. So it's always different depending on your brand. You may have a different vision. For me, I'd rather have 10 people that are buying than 310 people that are there for the party. But it's all, the party's fun too. So you know what I'm saying? But it's just different. As far as really selling though, do your own thing is always better than anything else. I'm telling you. I think so. As far as sales, not always as far as connection. And also, Alan, to be honest, there are some people that will never buy until you're to a certain level. There are people in Texarkana that only buy people from London and whatever. And so you have to get to a certain level for them to, yeah, even look at you. Yeah. It's just the way it is. This is the way the world is. So, go ahead.
So, do you have a specific business-to-business strategy that differs from what you talked about earlier? So, for example, you did the bank this year and put all the things in the bank.
Yes.
Do you have a specific strategy that you use? Do you kind of like target different locations that you want to like, okay, well, these businesses are popping up? Or
Yes.
Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. I just sold one to a bank today. But technically, they want a piece, so I don't know what they'll get. But yeah, and you have to work with people. Sometimes, I'm not sure if this is answering your question. Sometimes if I'm selling 10 pieces to somebody, let's work on something like one of the banks. I sold, I think, 4 pieces, large, full price. And then I'm like, you know what, they needed a lot more. 1 month later, they came back and said, Joseph, we've been looking, we cannot believe we're not finding anything at these furniture stores. We're not finding anything. It's still $1,000 and it's the reproductions and they're not happy. Is there anything you could do? Is there anything? And so, no, this is not anything I would give to any of you. But if they're needing 6 more pieces, yes, I will come down and let's work out something. And your art in a commercial space is good. It really is. Yes, it's a billboard. But no, I don't just typically just draw prices, but sometimes I will work with someone with somebody that's going to buy, like I said, 10 pieces or so. But it's a bad habit to always just offer clearance. You know what I'm saying? Sure. I do sales too, but I'm trying to do less and less and let your sales be 10 or maybe 20%, whatever. Don't. It's bad to your collectors to be giving 50% off. Woo, because if art is good, it's always good. You know what I'm saying? If you buy a 1984, I might just like one of my early works. It really should just be. The price should be lower. So don't sell yourself cheap. Am I wrong? Jeannie, go ahead. I want some. What do you think? You're looking at me crazy.
Well, no, I think for a long time you were selling low.
Yes.
And you kept
Yes.
wanting to go higher.
Yes. Yes.
And you also were not really venturing out.
Mm-hmm.
And you just stepped right out there and now you're people. I mean, that's.
Yes. Yes. And at some point, if you're going to compete beyond here, if you're going to compete, you have to raise your prices to be, and also even to be in a gallery, you have to raise your prices because they take 50% of your work. It's just, that's just the way it is. Yeah. Minimum of 50% usually. So, I don't know, did that kind of answer your
No,
question?
I would say, maybe follow up question I would ask.
Yeah.
Do most of these leads come from pre-existing relationships or is there any sort of, I don't want to get too far behind your ear. But is there a specific strategy that you like to employ when you're thinking, okay, hey, I'd like to do X amount of business-to-business pieces this year, say 10% or whatever. And is there a strategy that you use for targeting who you really want to look at as prospects?
Not totally. No, that would be good. I'm so busy that there's a lot of things I would like to do that I haven't done. Yes. I would literally, if there's a house like that, okay, I would literally drive and give a card. I don't do a lot of that, but I would. Why not? I would. And so, yes, but too much of that, you just don't want to seem desperate. That's where you can, if you're not careful. It's, and I've done it, but it's, you don't want to seem desperate. But, yes.
I have a question. So I really like how you said you can work in any style you enjoy.
Yes,
Because there's something for everyone.
yes,
I think that's liberating and I like that.
totally.
But I felt unsure because I've heard people say that's bad for your brand. Can you talk about balancing how you protect your brand but still working in different styles that you enjoy?
Yes, that's very hard. I struggled with that for a long, long time. I think, and in 2022, I'm going to try to narrow things down more. I think working in series kind of makes sense. So this is natural, kind of a natural series. This is just wild. I don't know. You got a few wild. I've got a fooling series. I've got spontaneous. I've got different styles. I've found that I've got about 5 or 6 styles that I love. That you could change the colors, whatever, but it does help. And I've even found this even in the gallery. I used to just hang it all wild or just all eclectic. That's interesting to me, but I'm learning more and more. It does help because people need help with stuff like that. It does help when you have like a body of work.